My own specialist cycle nightmare. I remember the early days, a whirlwind of passion and relentless energy when I first launched my own venture. It wasn't just a business, it was a drinking tangible form, a testament to my skills and vision. I poured every ounce of myself into it, driven by the belief that if I worked hard enough, success was inevitable. There was a unique thrill in building something from the ground up, seeing my ideas come to life, and knowing that every small victory was a direct result of my effort. The potential felt limitless, and the future, bright with possibility, beckoned me forward with an irresistible promise of independence and fulfillment. This initial excitement fueled countless late nights and early mornings, making every sacrifice feel worthwhile in the grand scheme of what I was creating. However, a subtle shift began to occur, so gradually that I barely noticed it at first. The lines between my personal life and my business started to blur, then completely disappear. What once felt like exhilarating dedication slowly transformed into an inescapable obligation. Every task, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, seemed to demand my personal attention, creating an ever-growing mountain of responsibilities. I found myself thinking about work even when I was supposedly off, my mind constantly churning through to-do lists and potential problems. The initial joy of creation was steadily being overshadowed by the sheer weight of constant demands, making it harder and harder to remember why I started this journey in the first place. I fell headfirst into what I now call the specialist's cycle, a trap many talented entrepreneurs unwittingly build for themselves. My core belief was that no one else could do things quite like I could, with the same level of quality, care, or understanding. This conviction, born from a genuine desire for excellence, led me to micromanage every detail and perform every critical function myself. Whether it was crafting the perfect marketing message, handling customer service inquiries, or even making crucial financial decisions, I believed my personal touch was indispensable. I felt an immense pressure to maintain an impossible standard, convinced that any deviation would jeopardize the very essence of my business's reputation and success. Soon enough, my days became a dizzying blur of activities, moving from one urgent task to the next without a moment's pause. My schedule was no longer dictated by my goals, but by the relentless demands of the business itself. I was the chief strategist, the lead technician, the head of sales, the customer support specialist, and the janitor, all rolled into one exhausted person. Every single email, every phone call, every client meeting, it all landed squarely on my shoulders. The initial sense of control I cherished had vanished, replaced by a frantic scramble to keep all the plates spinning before they crashed to the floor, leaving me perpetually overwhelmed and stretched thin. The physical toll was undeniable and severe. Sleep became a luxury I rarely afforded myself, often snatching a few restless hours before the next workday began. My eating habits deteriorated, fueled by convenience and a lack of time to prepare anything proper. The constant stress manifested as persistent headaches, muscle tension, and a general feeling of exhaustion that no amount of rest seemed to alleviate. It was as if my body was perpetually running on fumes, pushing through each day with sheer willpower alone. This wasn't just about feeling tired. It was a profound, bone-deep weariness that seeped into every aspect of my existence, making even simple tasks feel monumental. My personal relationships also suffered under the relentless pressure. Family dinners often involved me checking my phone under the table, my mind still miles away, grappling with a work problem. Promises to friends were broken, social gatherings missed, and hobbies I once loved lay dormant, gathering dust. I became increasingly isolated, finding it difficult to engage in conversations that didn't revolve around my business. The people closest to me started to notice the change, expressing concern about my constant preoccupation and lack of presence. It felt like my business, once a source of pride, was slowly but surely consuming my entire life, leaving very little room for anything else. The irony was crushing. I had started a business to gain freedom, but instead I had created a demanding, relentless boss, myself. My business was entirely dependent on my constant physical presence and endless labor. If I took a day off, nothing got done. If I went on vacation, the business effectively shut down. Or worse, problems piled up, waiting for my return. This realization hit me hard, exposing the fundamental flaw in my approach. I wasn't building an asset, I was building a sophisticated, high paying job that required every waking moment of my life, leaving me trapped within its confines with no apparent escape route. The financial success, while present, felt hollow. What good was earning more money if I had no time or energy to enjoy it? The initial vision of a thriving enterprise that would afford me a comfortable life and boundless opportunities had morphed into a gilded cage. I was financially secure, perhaps, but profoundly unfree. This disconnect between my aspirations and my reality became a constant source of frustration and disillusionment, chipping away at my spirit. The very thing I had poured my heart and soul into was now holding me captive, preventing me from experiencing the rich, full life I had originally envisioned. I remember one particularly harrowing week when everything seemed to go wrong simultaneously. A key client had an urgent issue, a vital piece of equipment broke down, and a major deadline loomed large. I worked nonstop for 72 hours straight, fueled by coffee and sheer panic, just to keep things from collapsing. By the end of it, I was a wreck, physically and emotionally drained, staring blankly at my computer screen with tears welling in my eyes. It was in that moment of utter exhaustion and despair that a stark, undeniable truth finally hit me. This was not sustainable, and I couldn't continue living like this. This wasn't the dream I had chased. It was a nightmare I had inadvertently constructed, brick by exhausting brick. The passion had curdled into resentment, and the excitement had been replaced by a gnawing sense of dread each morning. I looked around at the successful businesses I admired, the ones whose owners seemed to have a life outside their work, and wondered what magic they possessed that I clearly lacked. It felt like I was running on a hamster wheel, expending immense energy, but never actually moving forward, never truly growing beyond my own capacity to do everything myself. The thought of continuing this pace for years to come filled me with a profound sense of hopelessness. The fear of letting go was immense, a powerful mental block that kept me chained to my desk. What if I delegated a task and it wasn't done to my exacting standards? What if a client was disappointed? What if the quality of my product or service suffered? These anxieties, though understandable, were paralyzing, preventing me from even considering alternatives. I genuinely believed that my business's survival hinged on my direct involvement in every single operation, a belief that cemented my place firmly within the specialist cycle. It was a self-imposed prison, guarded by my own perfectionism and fear of failure, ensuring I remained indispensable but utterly exhausted. I desperately longed for a different way, a path that would allow me to reclaim my life without sacrificing the business I had worked so hard to build. The idea of a business that could thrive without my constant minute-by-minute presence seemed like an impossible fantasy, yet I clung to it. I knew, deep down, that there had to be a way to create something sustainable, something that could grow beyond my individual limitations. This intense yearning for change became my driving force, a quiet whisper that grew into a persistent roar, demanding that I find an answer to my predicament. I was ready to admit that my current approach was broken, and I was determined to fix it. That critical realization, born from the depths of my own burnout, marked the beginning of my transformation. I recognized that my greatest strength, my expertise and dedication, had also become my biggest weakness. My business wasn't designed to empower others. It was designed to funnel all power and responsibility directly to me. I understood that if I wanted true freedom and genuine growth, I couldn't keep being the bottleneck. The journey out of this nightmare wouldn't be easy, but the alternative, continuing down the same exhausting path, was far more terrifying. This moment of clarity was painful, yet profoundly liberating, setting me on a course to fundamentally rethink how I operated. I began to search for answers, devouring books, attending seminars, and seeking advice from anyone who seemed to have figured out this elusive balance. My quest wasn't just about efficiency, it was about survival, about rescuing my dream from the jaws of my own creation. I was looking for a blueprint, a set of principles that would allow my business to flourish independently, consistently, and without relying solely on my personal input. This was more than just a business problem. It was a life problem, and I was committed to finding a solution that would deliver Not just profit, but genuine peace and freedom. The path ahead was unclear, but the resolve to find it was stronger than ever. Discovering the power of systems the hard way. Stepping back from the whirlwind, it's almost laughable how long I clung to the belief that my business's success hinged entirely on my personal touch. I was a master of my craft, after all, and who better to ensure perfection than the person who started it all? This mindset, as I've come to understand, is the very core of the specialist cycle, a relentless, self-imposed treadmill where you're constantly running just to keep things from falling apart. Every client, every project, every single detail felt like it required my direct intervention, my unique expertise, and my undivided attention. The idea of delegating felt like a betrayal of quality, a shortcut to mediocrity, which was the last thing I wanted for the venture I had poured my entire being into. I was proud of the quality, but the price I paid for it was my entire life. The truth, however, slowly began to dawn on me, not through some sudden revelation, but through sheer, bone-deep exhaustion. I was working 70, 80, sometimes even 90 hours a week, and instead of feeling accomplished, I felt perpetually behind. My passion project had transformed into a demanding overlord, dictating my schedule, stealing my weekends, and eroding my relationships. I was constantly putting out fires, answering endless emails, and micromanaging tasks that, frankly, didn't need my specific genius. The irony was brutal. I had started a business to gain freedom, but I had inadvertently built myself a gilded cage, trapped by the very success I had worked so hard to achieve. My health suffered, my mood plummeted, and the joy I once found in my work was replaced by a gnawing sense of dread every time my alarm clock rang. This wasn't a sustainable path. Anyone could see that, especially my increasingly concerned family and friends. Yet I resisted, convincing myself that this is just what entrepreneurs do, or it's only temporary until we get over this hump. The problem was, the hump never disappeared. It simply morphed into a new, equally daunting challenge. I tried hiring more people, thinking extra hands would lighten the load, but instead, I found myself spending even more time training them, correcting their mistakes, and redoing their work to meet my impossibly high and largely undocumented standards. It felt like I was constantly pushing a boulder uphill, and with every step, the boulder only grew larger and heavier, threatening to crush me. The breaking point arrived not with a bang, but with a whimper. I remember a particularly chaotic week where I missed a crucial family event, botched a client deadline because I was stretched too thin, and then spent an entire Sunday night staring blankly at my laptop, utterly paralyzed by the sheer volume of tasks ahead. It wasn't just about being busy anymore, it was about feeling completely overwhelmed and utterly ineffective. In that moment of utter despair, something shifted. A quiet, insistent voice in my head asked a simple yet profound question. What if I am the problem? It was a bitter pill to swallow, admitting that my dedication was actually a destructive force. That question became a turning point, forcing me to confront the uncomfortable reality that my business wasn't designed to thrive without me. It was designed to depend on me. This realization, born from pain and exhaustion, was my first glimpse into the true power of systems. I began to understand that my inability to step away wasn't a badge of honor, but a critical flaw in my business model. I wasn't building an enterprise. I was merely creating a very demanding job for myself, one that paid well but cost me everything else. The hard way was teaching me that my personal effort, however immense, had a finite limit, and I had long since exceeded it. I started small, almost out of desperation. My first foray into systemization was embarrassingly simple. A checklist for onboarding new clients. Before, I would just wing it, relying on my memory, which often led to forgotten steps or inconsistent experiences. Now, I forced myself to write down every single action, from the initial consultation to the final welcome email. It felt tedious, almost beneath me at first. But then, a new team member followed it perfectly, and for the first time, a crucial part of the process happened without my direct supervision. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. A tiny crack in the wall of my self-imposed indispensability. This initial, clumsy step sparked a tiny flicker of hope. If one process could be documented and delegated, why not others? I began to look at every task in my business through a new lens. Can this be systematized? It wasn't about finding someone else to do my job, but about creating a framework that allowed anyone to perform a task consistently and effectively. This wasn't just about efficiency. It was about protecting the quality I so fiercely guarded, ensuring that even when I wasn't directly involved, the outcome remained excellent. The journey was fraught with trial and error, plenty of false starts, and moments where I wanted to throw my hands up in frustration, but the small victories kept me pushing forward. I vividly recall the first time a client praised our seamless and professional onboarding experience, specifically mentioning how organized everything felt. I hadn't touched that process in weeks. My team had handled it entirely using the system I'd created. That moment was a profound validation, a clear signal that I was onto something truly transformative. It wasn't just about saving time. It was about elevating the customer experience, making it reliable and consistent, which built trust and loyalty in a way my individual efforts alone never could. The business was starting to hum along, not because I was pushing it, but because its internal gears were finally aligned. This shift in perspective was monumental. I stopped seeing myself solely as the doer, the primary engine of the business, and started to envision myself as the architect. My role wasn't to perform every task, but to design the systems that enabled those tasks to be performed flawlessly. It's a challenging mental leap, requiring me to let go of control and trust in the processes I was building. This meant investing time up front to define, document, and refine every step, a commitment that felt like a drain on my already limited time. However, I soon realized that this initial investment was paying dividends almost immediately, freeing up hours I never thought I'd reclaim. The early days of implementing systems were certainly the hard way. It meant confronting my own ego, admitting that my way wasn't the only way, and that my personal touch, while valuable, could also be a bottleneck. It involved hours of writing down seemingly mundane steps, creating flowcharts, and testing processes with my team. There were moments of doubt, times when a system failed, or when a team member struggled to follow it, forcing me back to the drawing board. But each failure was a lesson, a chance to refine, to simplify, and to make the system even more robust. This iterative process was slow and often frustrating, but it was also incredibly enlightening, building a foundation of resilience and clarity. As I continued to build and implement these systems, a noticeable change began to ripple through my business. The frantic energy that once defined our days started to subside, replaced by a calmer, more predictable rhythm. Deadlines became less stressful, client communication improved, and errors decreased significantly. My team, once reliant on me for every decision, began to operate with greater autonomy and confidence, knowing exactly what was expected of them and how to achieve it. This newfound clarity not only boosted their morale, but also allowed them to take ownership of their roles, contributing to a more engaged and productive work environment. The business was becoming a well-oiled machine, rather than a collection of individual efforts. The most striking change, however, was in my own life. I started taking actual weekends off, enjoying dinners without constantly checking my phone, and even planning a vacation that didn't involve me bringing my laptop. The constant hum of anxiety in my chest began to quiet down, replaced by a sense of control and, dare I say, peace. It wasn't magic. It was the direct result of having reliable systems in place that ensured the business could run smoothly, consistently, and profitably, even when I wasn't physically present. The hard way had led me to a profound understanding. True freedom in business comes not from working harder, but from working smarter by building robust systems. This experience taught me that a business built solely on the strength of one individual is inherently fragile. It's a house of cards, constantly on the verge of collapse if that one person falters or needs a break. A business built on systems, however, is like a sturdy brick house, capable of weathering storms and standing strong regardless of who is inside. This fundamental realization became the bedrock of my philosophy. To create a business that serves your life, not consumes it, you must shift your focus from being the irreplaceable technician to becoming the visionary entrepreneur who designs the framework for success. This lesson, earned through sweat and tears, proved to be the most valuable education of my entire career. it became clear that the objective wasn't just to make my own life easier, but to build something that had intrinsic value beyond my personal input. This was the genesis of thinking like a franchise prototype, even if I never intended to franchise. The idea was to create a business so clearly defined, so predictably successful, that it could be replicated, scaled, or even sold without losing its essence. Every process I documented, every checklist I created, was a step towards building this independent entity. The hard way had shown me that designing a business to run without me was the only way to truly own it, rather than being owned by it. This journey from burnout to Clar, it wasn't a straight line, but a winding path filled with lessons learned at every turn. Each challenge, each moment of frustration ultimately contributed to a deeper understanding of what it truly takes to build a sustainable and liberating business. I discovered that the power of systems isn't just about efficiency, it's about empowerment. Empowering your team, empowering your customers, and most importantly, empowering yourself to live the life you envisioned when you first dared to dream of entrepreneurship. The hard way was tough, but it forged an unbreakable conviction that systems are the ultimate unlock for any business owner seeking genuine freedom. My mission: to save entrepreneurs from themselves. Having walked through my own personal specialist cycle nightmare, and having stumbled upon the profound power of systems the hard way, I realized something critical. My experience was not unique. In fact, it was a story played out in countless small businesses, day in and day out, across every industry imaginable. I saw the same tired eyes, the same overwhelmed expressions, and the same desperate plea for more hours in a day mirrored in the faces of so many talented entrepreneurs. They were brilliant at their craft, passionate about their service, and dedicated to their customers. Yet they were trapped in a cycle that slowly but surely drained their energy and their joy. This widespread struggle became the undeniable catalyst for everything you are about to read in this book, sparking a deep-seated desire within me to make a real difference for others. My mission, plain and simple, is to save entrepreneurs from themselves, from the very traps we unknowingly set when we start a business rooted solely in our personal skill. It's an urgent call to action, born from the understanding that being excellent at baking, coding, consulting, or any other craft does not automatically equip you to run a thriving, sustainable company. The illusion that our personal touch is the only way to ensure quality often leads us down a path of endless personal involvement, where every task, every decision, and every client interaction requires our direct, constant presence. This belief, while well-intentioned, is precisely what transforms a potential dream into a relentless burden, chaining us to our desks and our operations. I've witnessed firsthand how this technician's trap can suffocate the very entrepreneurial spirit that ignited the business in the first place. What begins as a spark of innovation and a desire for freedom quickly devolves into an exhausting routine where the owner becomes the bottleneck for every single process. You find yourself working longer hours than any employee, taking on responsibilities that could easily be delegated, and constantly putting out fires because you haven't built a robust structure around your expertise. This isn't the freedom you envisioned when you first dared to dream of owning your own business. It's a self-imposed prison, built brick by painful brick of your own indispensable labor. Many business owners simply don't know there's another way, and that's exactly what I aim to change. The harsh reality is that a business entirely dependent on your individual effort is not truly a business. It's just a highly demanding job you created for yourself, often with worse pay and fewer benefits than if you worked for someone else. It's a job that can't grow beyond your personal capacity, a job that can't survive without your constant supervision, and a job that certainly can't provide the financial and personal freedom you initially sought. This realization, once it hits, can be devastating, leading to burnout, resentment, and a profound sense of disillusionment. Many give up, selling their dream for a fraction of its potential value, simply because they never learned how to build something that could thrive independently of their constant physical presence and direct daily input. My mission, therefore, is rooted in empathy and a genuine desire to prevent others from experiencing that same soul-crushing exhaustion. I want to equip you with the knowledge and tools to break free from this cycle, to reclaim your time, and to rediscover the joy of true entrepreneurship. It's about more than just making a profit. It's about building a life that supports your ambitions, not one that constantly drains them. This means challenging deeply ingrained beliefs about what it means to be a successful business owner and opening your mind to a fundamentally different approach to how your company operates day to day. We need to shift our focus from being the best doer to becoming the most effective architect of our own enterprises. This book is my blueprint for that escape, a guide to transforming your personal expertise into a powerful, self-sustaining enterprise. It's about showing you how to build a business that works for you, rather than you constantly working in it. Imagine a world where your business continues to deliver consistent, high-quality results even when you're not physically present. A world where your team knows exactly what to do and how to do it without needing your constant oversight. This isn't some far-fetched fantasy. It's the tangible outcome of implementing solid systems, and it's a reality within reach for every business owner willing to learn and apply these principles. It's the path to a scalable, sellable, and truly freeing business model that honors your initial vision. I believe every entrepreneur deserves to experience the profound satisfaction of building something robust and resilient, something that provides not just an income, but a genuine life. You deserve the freedom to take a vacation without your phone buzzing incessantly, the ability to focus on strategic growth instead of daily minutiae, and the peace of mind knowing your business runs smoothly, even when you step away. This isn't just about efficiency. It's about dignity, well-being, and ultimately the ability to scale your impact and your profits without sacrificing your personal life. My mission is to guide you through this transformation, step by practical step, showing you how to lay the foundation for a truly independent and thriving company. So, if you're tired of being the only one who can do things right, if you're feeling the weight of your business pressing down on you, or if you simply yearn for more time and freedom, then you are exactly who I wrote this book for. Consider this an intervention, a compassionate but firm push towards a better, more sustainable way of doing business. It's an invitation to shed the technician's apron and don the entrepreneur's hat, to stop being the tireless engine and start becoming the brilliant engineer. Let's work together to dismantle the invisible chains that bind you to your daily operations and build a future where your business serves your life instead of consuming it. This journey promises not just a better business, but a fundamentally better way of living. Empowering technicians to become true entrepreneurs. Many business owners find themselves caught in a peculiar bind. They are brilliant at their craft, truly masters of what they do, yet the business itself feels like a constant struggle. Perhaps you bake the most exquisite cakes, write code that performs miracles, or offer consulting advice that transforms companies. Your skill is undeniable, drawing customers in and building a reputation. But deep down, you might feel less like an entrepreneur leading a thriving enterprise and more like a highly paid, utterly exhausted employee within your own company. This isn't a unique predicament. It's the very challenge many talented individuals face when they transition from being a technician to trying to run a business. This feeling of being perpetually indispensable, the sense that if you step away, everything might crumble, is precisely what we aim to address and overcome. It's no tea about diminishing your incredible talent or the passion that drove you to start your venture in the first place. Instead, it's about recognizing that your personal brilliance, while a fantastic starting point, cannot be the sole engine driving your business forward if you ever hope to achieve true growth, freedom, or even a moment of peace. There is a clear, actionable path from being the best at doing the work to becoming the visionary who builds an empire around that work. Let's define this technician role more clearly. It's the individual who possesses the primary skill, the hands-on expertise that delivers the core product or service. You are the one clients ask for by name, the one who ensures every detail is perfect, the one whose personal touch is seen as the hallmark of quality. While this dedication is commendable and often the foundation of early success, it inherently limits your capacity. Your business becomes tethered to your physical presence and finite time, making expansion feel like an impossible dream rather than an exciting opportunity. Contrast this with the entrepreneur, not just a title, but a mindset and a role focused on building the enterprise itself. The entrepreneur isn't necessarily the one performing every task, but rather the architect designing the entire structure, the one envisioning how the business can operate seamlessly, consistently, and profitably, even in their absence. This role involves stepping back from the daily grind to observe, strategize, and create the frameworks that allow others to replicate the quality and efficiency you initially provided. It's a shift from being the doer to being the designer. Making this transition, however, is often the hardest part for many business owners. The fear of letting go, of delegating tasks that you know you can execute flawlessly, is incredibly powerful. You might worry that no one else can possibly do it as well as you can, or that the quality will suffer, disappointing your loyal customers. This concern is natural and stems from a deep commitment to excellence, but it's a mental hurdle that must be overcome for your business to ever truly grow beyond your personal capacity. Holding on to every task out of a desire for perfection ultimately starves your business of its potential. Yet, letting go doesn't mean sacrificing quality or abandoning your commitment to excellence. It means finding a way to bottle that excellence and make it repeatable. It's about translating your unique expertise into a language that anyone with proper training and guidance can understand and follow to achieve the same high standards. This is where the magic of systemization truly begins to unfold, transforming your personal touch into a consistent, reliable operational blueprint that others can execute with precision. Your goal isn't to be less involved, but to be involved in a different, more impactful way. Systems act as the crucial bridge between your technician's skill and your entrepreneurial vision. Think of a system as a meticulously crafted recipe for every single process within your business. It captures your best practices, your nuanced decision-making, and your precise methods, documenting them in a clear, step-by-step format. This allows your unique knowledge, which once resided only in your head and hands, to become an organizational asset, available for anyone to learn and implement effectively. It's how you scale your expertise without scaling your personal workload. By embracing systems, you empower yourself as the technician to essentially clone your best work. Imagine having multiple versions of yourself, each meticulously following your proven methods, ensuring consistent outcomes across the board. This is the first monumental step towards becoming a true entrepreneur because it liberates you from the need to be physically present for every single task. Your business can then produce consistent results whether you are personally performing the work or guiding a team to do so, multiplying your impact exponentially. This shift demands a fundamental change in mindset, moving from "I must do it myself" to "How can this be done consistently, reliably, and to a high standard by anyone?" It requires you to view your business not as a collection of tasks you perform, but as a series of interconnected processes that can be optimized and delegated. This new perspective allows you to identify bottlenecks, streamline workflows, and ultimately design a more efficient and resilient operation. It's about building a machine, not just being a cog in it. Central to this empowerment is the act of documentation. This isn't just about writing things down for the sake of it. It's about externalizing your expertise, making it tangible and teachable. Whether it's a step-by-step guide for customer onboarding, a checklist for product creation, or a script for handling common inquiries, documented systems create a clear standard. This process ensures that your high-quality results are not dependent on a specific person's memory or intuition, but on a repeatable, proven method that anyone can follow with predictable success. The most profound benefit of this transformation is the freedom it grants you. Imagine a business that doesn't demand your constant physical presence, allowing you to take a vacation without panic, pursue new ventures, or simply spend more time with your loved ones. This freedom isn't just about leisure. It's about freeing your mind to focus on strategic growth, innovation, and charting the future direction of your company. You move from working in the business, constantly reacting, to working on the business, proactively shaping its destiny. Furthermore, this empowerment extends beyond just you. It empowers your entire team. When clear systems are in place, employees understand their roles, the expected quality, and the steps to achieve it, reducing ambiguity and increasing confidence. They become more effective, more accountable, and more engaged, knowing they can consistently deliver excellent results. This fosters a culture of independence and high performance, where everyone contributes to maintaining the standards you've established, leading to a much stronger and more cohesive operation. Embarking on this journey from technician to entrepreneur is not an overnight transformation, but it is an incredibly rewarding one. It requires patience, discipline, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone, but the payoff is immense. You're not just building a business, you're building a legacy, a self-sustaining asset that provides value to your customers, empowers your employees, and ultimately grants you the life you envisioned when you first dared to dream of owning your own company. This is the true essence of working smarter, not harder. Ultimately, empowering the technician within you means recognizing that your greatest contribution to your business is not just doing the work, but designing the way the work gets done. It's about channeling your expertise into robust systems that replicate your excellence, allowing your business to thrive independently of your constant intervention. This shift is the blueprint for transforming a demanding job into a truly self-running enterprise, offering you not just a livelihood, but genuine freedom and a future filled with possibility.